Cross-currents in this market have become pretty difficult to navigate of late. First, we get some great numbers from cyclical stocks like Caterpillar, Parker Hannifin, Ingersoll Rand. Then today we get an incredibly tepid first quarter gross domestic product figure. It makes it hard to figure out what the heck is actually happening with the economy. But even if business is really getting softer, you can always fall back on high-quality, high-growth biotechs that should keep making their numbers regardless of the state of the economy. Take Cramer fave BioMarin Pharmaceutical, one of the leading makers of orphan drugs, insanely expensive therapies that cost a fortune for a good reason, because they're the only medications that can help people with such rare diseases that without sky-high prices, no business would bother trying to treat them. BioMarin's got a host of drugs on the market, including a bunch of treatments for rare metabolic disorders, and it's got a terrific pipeline, including some exciting hemophilia compounds. Plus, just yesterday, the FDA approved Brineura. That's the company's sixth drug, which treats Batten disease. It's an ultra-rare, ultra-terminal brain disorder found in some children. Now, BioMarin stock has managed to rally just over 15% year-to-date, with much of that move coming in the past week as its new drug started to clear regulatory hurdles both here and in Europe. Can it keep climbing? Let's dig deeper with JJ Bienaimé. He's the CEO of BioMarin Pharmaceutical. Hear more about what his company's up to and where it's going. JJ, good to see you, sir.
Great to see you, Jim.
Okay, JJ, it's really important that we go over this because I know that the whole pharmaceutical industry at times is not understood. You have a drug, okay, Brineura. It's priced at $486,000 for an ultra-rare pediatric brain disorder, but it took 4 years to develop, and it saves lives. That's a decent trade-off for the system, isn't it?
Obviously, the system will have to determine that, but I would say that CLN2, the disease that Brineura is being used for, is a absolutely devastating neurodegenerative disorders that, unfortunately, for which unfortunately the patients will lose their life most of the time by age 12, and will lose their ability to walk, to talk, and lose their vision by age 7 or 8. And there is no drug today besides Brineura approved for treating those patients. But this is great news for patients with CLN2.
But I want people to know, you're talking about a subset. There were, what, is it 20 people a year, 20 children a year?
Well, there are 20 new patients every year in the U.S. that are born with this disorder, yes.
So how do you decide that that should be a focus of BioMarin? How did you decide 4 years ago that this is something that you had to try to cure?
Well, we decided because, as for every other product we have developed, we focus on diseases that have no available therapy and diseases that are genetics, and this is a specialty of BioMarin, and disease for which the biology of the disorder is well understood, and where we believe that we could develop a drug that would make a big difference. Now, the 20 new patients per year is only for the U.S. The prevalent population around the whole world is probably between 1,200 and 1,500 patients. So this is why it's potentially an exciting opportunity for us in the future, but definitely a great service to the patients with this disorder.
How do doctors know that children have the disease? I mean, if it's that rare, is it recognizable to them?
That is a good question, because the patients are basically appear to be normal until age 3. Then they start having seizures, more and more seizures, unexplained seizures. They have delayed in language. And I would say, unfortunately, very often they are misdiagnosed as being epileptic. And I think one of the great efforts we are going to be doing at launch and over the next few years is to educate physicians that when they see a 3-year-old kid with unexplained seizures, they should think about this disorder, because there are available genetic tests that are inexpensive that could help diagnose the patient.
I was going to ask you about that you do so many fabulous drugs, but they're rare. I mean, are there drug tests? Is there genomics that identify children who are at risk? Because you really do, a lot of your drugs are rather remarkable in terms of what they can do for saving children's lives. Can you work with genomics to try to isolate who really could use your drugs?
We are doing that. Actually, we are, as per the launch in the U.S., we'll be offering free genetic tests for any young patients that have unexplained seizures. Unfortunately, as of today, there is no available systematic newborn screening for this disorder. But hopefully, in the next few years, that will be available, and we probably will be involved there, and we'll support those efforts in the future.
Can you explain sometimes in politics they get very, let's say they use a meat axe rather than trying to figure out what's right. I mean, you're spending 5 years for Kuvan, for Vimizim, for Bernora, 4 years, 3 years for Kuvan. Do the politicians recognize how much money and time you're spending, and therefore you have to charge to get a return? Or is it just too sophisticated and it goes over their heads?
No, I think most politicians do actually understand this. They understand that it's highly risky to develop new drugs. 9 out of 10 drugs that get into clinical development, that means being tried in humans, never make it to the market. So the failure rate is extremely high. And also, our drugs are all proteins, many proteins, extremely complex to manufacture, extremely expensive to manufacture. The cost of manufacturing Brineura per year is north of $100,000 per year per patient. Okay. So I think they understand all this, and I think hopefully they will be, if there is any kind of regulations coming around healthcare, they will make sure that those regulations protect innovation and protect innovative biotech companies. And biotechnology is one of the only left industry where the U.S. is a leader in the world, and we hope it will stay that way.
Well, absolutely. I want to congratulate you on Bernora. That's a very important approval, and it's always great to see you, sir. Thank you for coming on Mad Money.
Right. Thank you, Jim.
This company has more than $1 billion in sales. It is a fantastic company, and it's got niche project, niche project, niche project, but they're all working. So, JJ Bienaimé, CEO, BioMarin. Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.